Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Funeral ceremonies for Iran's President Ibrahim Raisi and his entourage to begin today. Iran observes 5 days of mourning. India declares one-day state mourning on Tuesday. Israel strongly condemns ICC prosecutors' request to arrest its officials over Gaza conflict. US denounces ICC for outrageous implication of equivalence between Israel and Hamas. Phase 5 of India's general election records voter turnout of 60.09%. Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir records highest voter turnout in the last 35 years. And batting powerhouses Kolkata Knight Riders and Sunrisers Hyderabad meet in Qualifier 1 in Indian Premier League at Ahmedabad. Winner earns direct entry into the final. Iran has declared 5 days of mourning in memory of President Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian and other Iranian officials who were killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday. The mortal remains of President Raisi, Foreign Minister and other officials and staff have been brought to Tabriz, the capital city of Iran's East Azerbaijan province, where a public procession was held. According to Iranian media, funeral ceremonies for President Raisi will be held from Tuesday to Thursday in cities of Tabriz, Qom, Tehran and Birjan until his final burial at the Imam Riza Shrine in Mashhad. Many Iranians packed into mosques and squares on Monday to pray for the officials who died on Sunday when the helicopter they were travelling in crashed in poor weather in mountains near the border with Azerbaijan. Iran on Monday announced that it will hold presidential elections on June 28. According to Iran state media, the election calendar was approved at the meeting of the heads of judiciary, government and parliament. In the meantime, Vice President Mohammad Mokhber has been appointed to assume interim duties. Iran's cabinet has also appointed Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Bagheri Kani as acting Foreign Minister. The first funeral for Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and those who died with him is taking place later on Tuesday. The President and Foreign Minister as well as regional officials and pilots were killed in a helicopter crash in northwestern Iran on Sunday. DD India's Stuart Smith has more from neighbouring Iraq.
The commemoration for the life of the president will begin in Tabriz, the capital of East Azerbaijan province in northwestern Iran. His body and those travelling with President Raisi will then be taken to Tehran, the capital of Iran. The final resting place is being variously reported as Raisi's home city of Mashhad in northeastern Iran, which is also a significant religious hub for Shia Muslims, or the city of Qom in central Iran. Meanwhile, the country will participate in 5 days of mourning. Exams have been postponed and a period of 7 days without cultural programming has been imposed. The Chief of Staff of Iran's military has ordered an investigation into what caused the helicopter crash. Dense fog, freezing temperatures and wet weather have been offered as the primary reason by officials. At the same time, preparations for an election are underway. They must happen within the 50-day time limit mandated by the Constitution. The country's election headquarters affirmed on Monday that no details have yet been released about the timing of the process, but July 8th has been suggested to the Guardian Council, which will manage the voting, meaning candidates would have to declare their intention to run by June 8th. Experts expect the shortlist and final winner of the election race will be a continuity candidate and someone who, like their predecessor, will defer to the instructions and foreign policy of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei. Stuart Smith in Baghdad, reporting for DD India.
And the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued condolences on Monday over the death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. United Nations spokesman Stephen Dujarric said the UN Secretary General is saddened by President Raisi's death.
The Secretary General is saddened by the death of Saeed Ibrahim Raisi, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and Hossein Amir Abdollahian, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Iran, as well as their colleagues in the helicopter accident that took place yesterday on May 19th. The Secretary General expresses his sincere condolences to the families of the deceased, as well as to the government and people of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
And the United Nations Security Council paid tribute to the late Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi and his delegation by observing a minute of silence during their Monday meeting. Mozambique's UN ambassador, who currently holds the rotating council presidency for the month of May, requested that the members stand and maintain a moment of silence in remembrance of the loss of life in a crash of Iran's president and his team. Pope Francis also offered his condolences to the Islamic Republic of Iran on Monday following the death of the President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash. In a written notice, Pope Francis sent condolences in a telegram addressed to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and sent the assurance of spiritual closeness to the nation at this difficult time. The Government of India declared a one-day state mourning on Tuesday as a mark of respect to Iranian President Saeed Ibrahim Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian, who died in a helicopter crash. During this period of mourning, the national flag will be flown at half-mast on all buildings where it is customarily displayed. There will be no official entertainment throughout the day. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Monday said that due to the interest and initiative of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister and Hossein Amir Abdollahian, India was able to finalize a long-term agreement on the crucial Chabahar port. India on May 13 signed a 10-year agreement to operate the Chabahar port on the Gulf of Oman, providing Indian goods a gateway to reach landlocked Afghanistan and Central Asia. The External Affairs Minister said the Chabahar port agreement is something bigger than a port. It is part of a connectivity change that is being looked at.
You know, we've been trying for almost 20 years now to have an agreement with Iran. We could have like a short-term agreement because there were a lot of problems on their side. But actually, in recent months, thanks to, in fact, the two people who unfortunately died yesterday in the helicopter crash, the President of Iran and the Foreign Minister of Iran, because of their interest and their initiative, we were actually able to finalize a long-term agreement. This is very important because if you look, you know, today, one of the big things in the world is how do you make connectivity corridors?
And the chief prosecutor at the International Criminal Court has announced he is seeking arrest warrants for the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well as several Hamas leaders over Gaza conflict. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan KC issued a statement on Monday morning proposing that arrest warrants are issued for PM Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, Mohammad al-Masri, Hamas military chief, and Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas political leader. It marks the first time in ICC history that a sitting head of state and a sitting defense minister of a country face arrest warrants. Outrageous. That's how US President Joe Biden described an announcement by the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor Karim Khan that he is seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders. Biden is promising to stand with Israel, whose Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned Monday's application against him as a moral outrage of historic proportions, vowing to continue with what he insists is a just war against Hamas. Did India's Benji Hire reports.
Well, this is a rather forthright denouncement from the Biden administration, a quote, fundamental rejection of what officials here call the ICC's shameless push for arrest warrants for both Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant over war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection. But let me be clear. Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that. We're going to always stand with Israel and the threats against its security.
You have to hear this to believe this. The International Criminal Court in The Hague is contemplating issuing arrest warrants against senior Israeli government and military officials as war criminals. This would be an outrage of historic proportions. International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides.
A panel of pre-trial judges will now determine whether the evidence supports the issuing of warrants against those two politicians, as well as against Hamas's leader, Yahya Sinwar, for his and others' involvement in the deadly October 7th attack. But the White House is claiming this move by the ICC could jeopardize ceasefire efforts, and it risks creating an equivalence between Israel, its Middle East ally, and Hamas, a group the US designates as terrorists. Washington also says the court has no jurisdiction over the matter. If warrants are granted, countries signed up to the ICC statute would be obliged to arrest the men if they set foot on their soil. That doesn't include Israel nor the United States, which don't conform to the statute.
I can also confirm today that I have reasonable grounds to believe, on the basis of evidence collected and examined by my office, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes committed on the territory of the State of Palestine from at least the 8th of October 2023.
Israel, according to US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, was actually prepared to cooperate with the court's prosecutor, who is scheduled to visit Israel as early as next week to discuss the investigation. His staff were meant to land in Israel hours ago to coordinate that visit. Yet Israel was informed that they didn't board their flight, just at the same time as their boss took to the airwaves to announce the charges, a timeline which the US State Department says undermines the legitimacy and the credibility of this investigation. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan just returned from Israel and the Palestinian West Bank for talks, urging a political solution to the war. And despite the stern reaction we've heard stateside, this ICC decision could increase the pressure on the US to draw back its support of Israel. Benji Haya in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And Russia said on Monday that it continued to occupy favorable positions in Kharkiv and other areas while Ukraine destroyed Russian tanks, air defense systems and other military targets. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that the Russian army completely controlled a settlement in the Luhansk area. It repelled the Ukrainian army's counterattacks in multiple directions and attacked Ukrainian army electronic warfare base stations, ammunition depots, air defense systems and other targets. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in its battle report stated that the Ukrainian army held its frontline positions in Kharkiv and other places and continued to engage in fierce battles with the Russian army. Now, Julian Assange will remain in the UK while he awaits an appeal against extradition to the United States. Judges in London have granted him leave to appeal, which means a new court hearing will need to be arranged. He is fighting extradition to the US to face charges related to leaking of classified information. DD India's Oli Barrett reports from London.
Julian Assange's legal team say they believe it will probably be several months before there is an appeal hearing taking place. There were a couple of assurances provided by the American authorities, which the UK High Court was not satisfied by, and that's why the leave to appeal has been granted by the High Court here in London. So Julian Assange's legal team will now go away and prepare their case for that appeal. It means that Julian Assange will stay in the United Kingdom in the intervening period. He will remain in custody for that period as well. The only thing that would change that would be were the Americans to drop their case. This all relates back to documentation leaked by Julian Assange and his WikiLeaks organisation back in 2010 and 2011, much of which related to conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. Julian Assange's supporters insist the case against him is politically motivated. American authorities believe that serious legislation and laws have been broken by the leaking of that diplomatic material and all of that documentation, and that's why they've been pursuing the case against Julian Assange. He has, for years now, been trying to avoid extradition to the United States. Ollie Barrett in London, reporting for DD India.
Sri Lankan Foreign Minister Ali Sabri has expressed commitment to address any security concerns in the Indian Ocean region and said that it will not allow anyone to harm India's security.
Really stated that we would like to work with all countries, but any reasonable concerns to the Indian security will be taken into note, and we will not allow anyone to harm that. As a responsible neighbor and a civilizational partner, we will not undertake anything which would harm the legitimate security concerns of the India.
Now, in an interview to Indian news agency, the Sri Lankan Foreign Minister said his country is looking forward to join the BRICS grouping. The Sri Lankan Foreign Minister also stated that the island nation would reach out first to India whenever it formally applies to join the BRICS grouping.
We will look forward for BRICS also. I think Cabinet had appointed a subcommittee to look into that and recommend to us. BRICS is a good body, particularly since India is a part of it. So as and when we decide that Cabinet to apply, the first country we would be talking to is India and seek India's support for us to reach to the BRICS.
All right, we'll slip into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Campaigning on in full swing for remaining phases of parliamentary polls in India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said on Monday that the Quad Alliance is working towards realizing its shared vision of a secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific and delivering in the field of clean energy, disaster relief and health security. In a post on social media platform X, Dr. Jaishankar said, and I quote him, "Whether it's delivering clean energy, STEM talent, disaster relief, health security or resilient communication infrastructure, the Quad is working towards realizing its shared vision of a secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific." He also mentioned that the next Quad summit would continue to build on their achievements. Now let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Now, polling in the fifth phase of India's general elections on Monday recorded an approximate voter turnout of 60.09%. 49 seats across 6 states and 2 union territories went for polls in the fifth phase. The state of West Bengal saw the highest voter turnout with 74.65%. 67.59% people have voted in Odisha, with 63.07% in Jharkhand. Around 69.62% people voted in Ladakh, which was very encouraging as it went to polls first time after becoming a union territory. Baramulla parliamentary constituency in Jammu and Kashmir recorded 57.4% polling, which is the highest since 1984, both in polling percentage and absolute number terms. The prominent candidates whose fate was sealed in EVMs include BJP leaders Rajnath Singh, Piyush Goyal, Smriti Irani and Congress leader Rahul Gandhi. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today hailed the people of Baramulla parliamentary constituency as it recorded its highest ever voter turnout and said such active participation is a great trend. PM Modi in a social media post said, and I quote him, "Compliments to my sisters and brothers of Baramulla for their unbreakable commitment to democratic values. Such active participation is a great trend." And the campaigning is in full swing for remaining 6th and 7th phase of parliamentary polls. The election is entering its final phases and the intensity of campaigning has reached a fever pitch as leaders make their final push to secure the votes. PM Modi held public rally in East Champaran. Addressing the rally, PM Modi said India of the 21st century cannot evolve with support of Indian National Congress Alliance. Later in the day, PM will hold public meetings in Maharajganj, Prayagraj and Varanasi.
21वीं सदी का भारत इंडी गठबंधन के पापों के साथ आगे नहीं बढ़ सकता। और इसलिए हर चुनाव में कांग्रेस, आरजेडी जैसे दलों पर जनता जोर का प्रहार कर रही है। 4 जून को इंडी वालों के इरादों पर सबसे बड़ा प्रहार होगा।
Bharatiya Janata Party President JP Nadda will hold a roadshow in Haryana in support of BJP candidate Mohan Lal Badoli. Meanwhile, the prominent faces of BJP, including Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh and Yogi Adityanath, will hold rallies and roadshows in Odisha, UP, Haryana and Delhi. Now, the opposition parties are also not leaving any stone unturned to get across to the voters. Congress President and senior leader Mallikarjun Kharge will hold a public meeting in Haryana's Yamunanagar and Pataudi. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi and Samajwadi Party leader Dimple Yadav will hold joint roadshow in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj. While Congress leader Rahul Gandhi will hold a public rally in Jharkhand. Bahujan Samaj Party chief Mayawati will hold a rally in Uttar Pradesh's Jaunpur city. And Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and Congress candidate from North East Delhi, Kanhaiya Kumar, will hold a joint roadshow in Delhi's Bhajanpura. Now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Delhi High Court on Tuesday extended the judicial custody of former Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia till May 31st in Delhi liquor excise policy case. Manish Sisodia was arrested more than a year ago in Delhi excise policy case. This is the second round of bail pleas filed by Manish Sisodia. Earlier, the trial court dismissed his bail pleas in both cases. The order of the trial court was upheld in the High Court. Vehicular movement shall remain suspended on the Jammu-Srinagar stretch of National Highway 44 for the whole day on Tuesday. As part of the restriction, no movement of any kind of vehicles, including those carrying fresh perishable livestock and security forces, will be allowed on the aforementioned stretch. NH 44 is the longest national highway in the country and is considered the lifeline of Kashmir as it connects the valley with the rest of the country. Sports updates now. We'll start with IPL. The playoff of the 17th season of Indian Premier League will begin today. Table toppers Kolkata Knight Riders will face Sunrisers Hyderabad in the first qualifier at Ahmedabad. It brings together two of the most belligerent batting sides this season, particularly in the power play. With the strength of their opening stance being central to their success, KKR might look slightly weaker in that department. Phil Salt's departure has broken his partnership with Sunil Narine at the top of the order. The Kolkata side were the first side to qualify for the playoffs of the tournament and they will aim to register yet another win to place themselves in the finals of this season. On the other hand, SRH became the third team to qualify for the playoffs. The Pat Cummins-led side registered a 4-wicket victory in their final league match against Punjab Kings, and this win propelled their position to second place in the standings, enabling them to compete in the qualifiers against the table toppers KKR. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.